So this video is about the unemployment debate. And what they are debating on is whether they're going to keep unemployment going or not. Already, I can say that they probably should because of the fact that the virus is spreading everywhere. I mean, it's actually gotten so much worse. So, and I'm just gonna talk about LA, that most of the hospitals are filled up. And if you were to get sick, you couldn't even go into the hospital to be seen because you basically would be hemmed up in the emergency room. And they were warning people that it would get to this point. And so it is at this point. And places that were opening left and right have now closed left and right. And so it's actually doing the reverse of what it was doing a couple of weeks ago when they were starting to reopen it. And I kind of felt that this was going this direction because I don't think people, um, it was a number of things. I don't think everybody was practicing safety. And the number one, I feel like they opened things too soon. And that probably is what caused a lot of people to get, a lot more people to get infected. And by them not having, um, all of the messages clear, and not everybody was really taking it serious because they were watching other people not really wearing masks. Maybe they didn't think it was as bad as it is now. They didn't really believe. I mean, when you can't see something, you see it happening on somebody, but you don't see it, it doesn't seem like it's real. And so I think some people really were feeling like maybe it was not real. And then, I saw some crazy articles that was saying that a game show host had tweeted that it wasn't real, that it was more like a hoax, and that from what I was hearing is that the president was interpreting those tweets, and it was sounding as though he was believing some of it, like it was some kind of conspiracy going on, and the fighting back and forth with Dr. Fauci. And for the most part, what I've been seeing is a lot of people have been more restless. A lot of kids are like, they're staying closer to their parents, clinging because they're afraid. People are afraid. Mothers are afraid because they don't really have, the safety. They're not worried. Well, they're not really. They're not equipped for what is happening right now, and their worry is that they don't have the proper child care if they were to go back to work, and so they are using the $600 boost of unemployment benefits to pay bills and maybe pay back rent. And so by them taking it away, it is going to pretty much put a lot of people in a difficult position where they're not going to be able to catch up. You might even see a larger number of people that are homeless, and I believe that's the big thing right now is people ending up on the street. And so this article I was looking at earlier, and I was reading, and it was saying that they were debating on whether or not to continue these benefits, and they were saying that it was incentivizing people to not go to work. But here's the problem: a lot of these jobs, there are some jobs um, that are closed permanently now. And so people cannot just go back to the same job that they had. Um, and then there's childcare as an issue. And the other thing is parents may have pre-existing illnesses. So they electively are not going back to work, not because they don't want to work, because they're afraid of getting sick and contracting the disease, and then they won't be able to go to work and they'll end up in the hospital. Um, Also, there are people who they have other people in their family they have to take care of, and so they can't just leave that person, and that person may have a disability, or they may be sick themselves, so they have to stay home and care for somebody, a relative. And I don't think that they really thought about all of those things. So a lot of people are too living in apartments where they're not like just one and two people. There might be four and five people living in a 2 or 3 bedroom apartment. And so it's not an easy fix. And so if you already have people who have health issues, or they're on living paycheck to paycheck, they have kids and they can't just go to work, and their kids don't have care, or they're afraid to send their kids to somewhere that their kids may contract it from other children who aren't protected. Because kids usually, they have colds. They seem to be the first ones to carry, some of the viruses like colds and flus and things like that. So it's really, really scary. These are scary times we're living in. And then, when I was reading it said at the end of the month that the enhanced benefits are going to end. They're set to end the end of July 31st. And so it says $600 weekly supplement is going to be a key component or key point of the debate in negotiations over the next coronavirus relief package. So the House Democrats voted to extend the enhanced benefits all the way to January, but the Republicans and the Trump administration have been adamant that won't happen. And so this is really important. Imagine the uncertainty in households, and that's basically what I said before I read the article. Across America now, that House Speaker Nancy Pelosi, a Democrat of California, at the press conference on Wednesday, Republicans have argued against extending the $600 benefits and increase because many are making more on unemployment than they would at their job. And so that was one thing, and they want to discourage. They don't want people to feel like they should stay home and not work. So they don't want to incentivize people to stay home and not return to work. But that's not what they're doing. This is a situation where there's a global pandemic and people could get sick. They could get really ill. They could die. And they may be the only income earner in their household. So if they die, and then you have people who don't have a mother, or they don't have the person that earns the money for the family, and then you have a bunch of people that are homeless and they have no one to help them. And so I don't think they've thought about these things, because they live in a different situation. Maybe they're not in these communities and they don't know what these people are going through. So in a statement on Yahoo Finance, White House Deputy Press Secretary Judd Deere said that maintaining the benefits at the current levels does not incentivize returning to work. Okay, so the UI reform is priority, which is the unemployment insurance, the White House, in any phase 4 package. And we are in an ongoing discussion. So they're still discussing the matter of the benefits. They haven't come to a concise conclusion yet. And so Democrats, lawmakers say that the boost benefits are keeping Americans afloat, which is true. And so the benefits are pushing people. If you take them away, it'll push them into poverty. And that's what the worry is, by ending them. And so I really personally think they shouldn't end it. Maybe they should add it to the package they have here. There was a package they were talking about, and I believe it's coronavirus rescue package, relief package. And so they show a scenario of a woman who has a disabled son, or a son that has a disability, in other words. And I believe she says she worked for a hospital for about 20 years. And so she says she doesn't know what she's going to do. She had to go a couple of months um, with um, not paying her mortgage note. So she was furloughed. So some jobs, people were furloughed and they were asked to leave because they had to close the places that they worked at. And so it wasn't like you just stepped off the job or you quit. And, some places closed permanently. And so I really don't believe that they know all of everybody's story as individual, but they don't know everybody's story. And so American Workforce Rescue Act. And so this is another package that they want to propose to put together. And so this is by Senator Schumer and Wyden. And so Senate Democratic leader Chuck Schumer of New York and Wyden, Democrat of Oregon, I believe, had introduced an American Workforce Rescue Act. And so these are the extra weekly payments. And if the unemployment rate gets below these percentages, that's the weekly payments for that week or each week, depending on how low the percentage rate is of unemployment. So they want to keep watch of what they're doing. So an extra $600 a week would remain in place until the state's unemployment rate dropped to 11%. Then the weekly benefit would continue to drop by 100 every percentage point that decreases in the unemployment rate. And so they also were thinking about giving bonuses, a return to work bonus, but some people say that what's the use? They claim it would be $450 a week. Some people say they're for it, but it would be for a period of 6 weeks. And some people say, some people would say, well, I would rather have 600. So it depends. I guess everybody's a case by case situation. So I'm jumping around in this article. So a $600 in addition to the return to work bonus. So how about $600 and also possibly the $450? That would be good. Also, wouldn't turn down any money, but because things are so tight right now, I guess they're debating, and then too, they don't want people to just get relaxed and stay home, but that's not what's going on. A lot of people are in a situation they could be sick themselves. Maybe they've contracted the disease, or they're caring for somebody that could possibly be exposed or had to stay home from a center themselves. Maybe they don't have anyone else that can look after their family members. So there's a lot of things that are happening to a lot of people and have changed a lot of people's lives just from this right here. So the paychecks for the displaced workers would come with conditions. So businesses receiving the funds could not buy back stocks or pay out dividends, but the businesses would also have to protect collective bargaining agreements, remain neutral in union organization efforts, and cap CEO pay at 50 times the median worker wage. So I think it's really important, they say, that the next stage of what they do is to focus those businesses on who really seen economic loss. And that's said by Warner. So lawmakers, they debate the future relief efforts, and Bernardo and Ibarra both urge them to remember that $600 is more than a number. It's political debate in this political debate. And so they're going back and forth whether they should give this and extend it. I personally think they should, so I'm jumping around here. So under their plan, the government would cover a cost of furloughed or laid off workers' salaries, benefits up to about $90,000 if a business had at least 15% drop in revenue year over year. Some businesses would also get help with an overhead expense like mortgages, rent, utilities, and such, while some of the smaller businesses would get help with paying for salaries of their employees who are still working. So Warner said that his plan could help fill the gaps left by prior relief initiatives like a paycheck, a PPP plan, Paycheck Protection Program, so and the Main Street Lending Facility. So These are things that it's called Paycheck Security Act. And so Senator Mark Warner, a Democrat of Virginia, acknowledges the concerns about the extra $600 a week, but defends the program, saying it kept millions out of poverty. So he defends it. So he's all for it. Some people are saying that they should extend it, and then others are saying that, maybe we should include other bonuses or other incentives so that it get people to go to work. But what they don't understand, some of these jobs are not open anymore. They're under strict order to not open and not perform as they used to. They're on limited funds. The other issues is you got people that have health issues, and so let's also include in this is that when people are lower wage workers, they may not have health insurance, and they also may have pre-existing illnesses because they live in a situation of poverty. So they may have to eat whatever it is that they could eat. It may not be always the healthy food choices, but it's enough to feed their family and feed them and make their money last. And so over a period of years, maybe your health takes a toll on you if you're always having to work and you're always having to, eat things that may not be the greatest or the healthiest food choices, but it's what you can afford. And so those are things that they didn't even think about. The other thing is you might have family members that may already have health issues, and you might have taken them to a nursing home, and we heard what happened to a lot of the nursing home. A lot of people died. And so you are the only caregiver. So now that forces you to have to be at home with your family members. And so these are the things that they have not considered. And so that is the reason why this $600 boost of unemployment is more than just, something to just go and get and throw in the bank. And, it is not luxury money for a lot of people. A lot of people need this money to pay their bills and their rent and to survive, because this pandemic has been taking lives left and right. More and more people are getting sick. So why would they want to take away something that is a lifeline for probably millions of people? And they're not considering what they're doing could even throw people into more debt and more poverty. So overall, I'm going to let this video go. So what do you think about this? I really think they should keep the program, because already you have people that are going to end up getting evicted, and they're going to need probably that money so they can find somewhere else to go and keep food on the table, or food wherever they're going to go. Having said that, I'm going to let this video go. Thanks for listening. Be safe out there.